Hi, this is Shari, and Shari is the daughter of the famous dancer Coby. Coby was the last owner of the Forbidden City from 1962 to 1970. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Shari, and about your mother?
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. I am the daughter of Coby, the only child of Coby, who owned and operated the Forbidden City from 1960s to the early 70s, which was, I grew up there, the whole family. It was a family business, which my mom would always say. Everybody worked there. Uncle played piano, uncle bartended, another uncle bartended, an aunt was a cashier, and another aunt was a cocktail waitress, and another uncle was a maitre d'. So, my part was washing dishes.
Collecting the money. Right? Also, you had a cousin that was a dancer in the show, correct?
Two older cousins, boy cousins, were recruited to dance in the show, and that was.
And what was their name?
Dennis Leon and Daryl Leon.
Oh, okay. So I remember one of them was a tap dancer, and I met him. His name is Daryl.
It could have been. Yeah. So it was definitely a family business, and quite an experience.
Before buying the Forbidden City, what years did your mother dance there?
I remember her dancing there on and off through the 50s. All through the 50s before she actually bought it.
Uh-huh.
There were several nightclubs in Chinatown at that time, in the 50s, and she worked, I think everybody kind of went back and forth across the street and kept working at different places, but all through those years she worked in San Francisco Chinatown, and also was on the road.
And where was Coby from?
My mom was born in Columbus, Ohio, with her 6 brothers and sisters. My grandparents had a laundry, and that's where they raised their family until the late 40s.
Is that right? Yes. To come from Columbus, Ohio, it's quite far from San Francisco. So how did your grandfather get there?
I have to do a little research on that. He was back and forth from China many times, and for some reason he ended up in Columbus, Ohio, immigrated there. I have a feeling he had a brother nearby.
Okay.
But I'm not positive, but that's where he landed.
So did he come to San Francisco first and then get to Columbus?
Right. The ship.
The ship, yes.
The ship. And then, I don't know if they didn't fly
Yeah.
to Columbus. They must have taken a train.
Yes.
Those are the details we never really got, or they didn't talk about.
Yes, it's very interesting because a lot of times the older generation doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it was never brought up.
They didn't think that the young people would be interested.
And at the time, I probably wasn't. My mom maybe questioned or didn't ask, and I never asked my mom. But I'm interested now, and we're trying to do some research to find out how they got from point A to point B.
And did you ever go back to the village in China where your grandfather is from?
Yes, I went back the first time in 1981 on a trip with an uncle, an aunt, my mom, and a cousin. So there were 5 of us, and we traveled from Hong Kong to the village, and that's when China opened up. So we were able to visit the village that my grandfather and my mom's sisters went back to, and that's where my grandfather died. So that was quite an experience. I don't think the village had changed in the last 100 years.
So when you went back the last time, which was only last year, right? So did you find that a lot has changed, or who lives there in your grandfather's house? Tell us a little.
Well, it was quite a surprise to go back just 2 months ago, and the buildings were the same. I recognized it. The road was paved, and we had a couple of relatives that still live there, and they have to be a woman and a man and a younger girl, and I think that somehow they are cousins.
Yes.
10th removed, very, very, several generations after me, because I think I have second cousins that are in America now that were born in China, and they only came to the United States in the 90s when they were very young. So they would be the only ones. Anybody after that, very far removed.
Okay.
But it definitely was a Yi family village. It was very evident that my grandfather's name and his presence was still felt. It's really quite an experience. Very happy to have been able to have that opportunity. Thanks to.
I actually found your mother in 2016 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And
15?
I was looking for Coby Yi, the famous dancer, and I wanted to meet her. I never really met her until then. And finally, I found her in a senior home teaching cha-cha.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you see any of that? Where were you at that time?
I lived in Honolulu. I've lived in Honolulu for maybe the last 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And that's about the time I would say my mom retired from show business, maybe in the 70s, the mid-70s to late 70s.
Right.
And then she moved to San Pablo and enjoyed tea dancing at the senior center. And that was her whole social life, going from all the neighborhood senior centers and knew what day and what times they had tea dancing.
Oh.
And that's what she really enjoyed. And the other times she would spend sewing. Sewing was her passion. All her costumes and everything. And her street clothes were all handmade.
I remember some friends going on a cruise, and they had met your mom on the cruise, and saying that they were just so attracted to her because of her outfits that she wore. She always had a hat to match and a purse to match and complete outfit.
Right, she's very memorable walking down the street.
When I asked her to join the Grand Avenue Folly, she said, no, the past is the past. I don't dance anymore. And so I said, oh, but I want to, take you to Las Vegas. And she said, what, Las Vegas? And I said, yes, to the Burlesque Hall of Fame. And so I said, please join us for one show. And I think you will like it. And so she was game. Mm-hmm. But before we went to Las Vegas, she actually joined us to go to Cuba. I talked about going to Cuba, and she was game for that. And so it was a really, really nice trip for us all to be on the same stage with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Thank you.
Really nice.
Thank you. That's very generous of you to say. Going to Cuba was quite a shock when I heard.
Were you able to join her?
No. I couldn't move that fast. You guys are much quicker than me. I couldn't make a decision that quickly. But my mom was game. She absolutely was game, and you were very reassuring that she wouldn't be left there.
I remember one night when we all got back to the hotel, and we're maybe 20 years younger than she was, and we said, oh, we've had such a long day, we're going to go to bed. And she said, what? Are you kidding me? Life starts at midnight. Mm-hmm. And she was right, because in Cuba, people work very, very long hours. And so it was after midnight that everyone would go out dancing. And they would dance right on the plaza and in these restaurants, and just had a great time. And I remember she came rolling in about 3 a.m. because they were locked out of the hotel one night.
Sleep. Somebody had to open the door.
Yes.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah, and so it just reminded me of being a teenager, coming home and being locked out. So it was really an experience for us.
Well, it's just very attracted to Latin music.
Oh,
that was
yes.
your favorite.
Yes.
Favorite. Anything with a little Latin beat, a samba or something.
Cha-cha.
Or a cha-cha, right, exactly. That was, I would say, her favorite choice of music. So going to Cuba was very, very perfect.
Yeah, I think the attraction was not really going to Cuba to do the show. It was going to Cuba to dance. So
exactly.
She got what she really wanted.
I would add that going to Las Vegas wasn't so much to perform in the show, but it was to the other things that you do in Las Vegas, gaming.
I think it was pulling those sunglasses.
I would.
Yeah, I remember she would show up at breakfast and said, "Oh, gee, we were up all night playing the slots." Yes.
And plus the opportunity that I would meet her there from Honolulu.
Yes.
So that was the other excuse.
Oh, okay. Yes, that was very, very memorable. What are your plans for the future of preserving the legacy of Coby?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for asking. I think that this documentary that I'm advertising, named Chinatown Cha-Cha, features the Grand Avenue Follies and Coby Yi, and it was released in China last month, two months ago, and it was very well received. And the hope is, the next step is to have it released in the United States. And that, I feel, is even if, well, I'm sure it will be at some point. And that really preserves the memory of my mom. And the film depicts her exactly the way she was. So I am proud and I'm grateful that there is a film for the next generations of all of young people, that the message, how inspiring the seniors can be, still doing their thing and getting out there and having a good time, no matter what your age is.
Right.
It's just a number.
That's
it's just a number.
Yes, definitely Coby showed us that too.
And I think all are fine examples, very fine examples of that. So that's what we hope for, that the film comes to the United States and is seen by many and many people and inspires many people, and I'm sure it will. So thank you.
Thank you for doing the interview and being here in San Francisco, Chinatown, after living in Hawaii all this time.
Well, I love coming home. It's always home.
Okay.
It's always be home.
So what's the first thing you do when you come to San Francisco?
First thing I do when I come to San Francisco, Chinatown, is to buy fortune cookies.
Okay.
The coins. That's my favorite.
Okay.
That's my favorites. And then, of course, eat.
Yes.
Eat. And then visit the museum. Your museum, which I'm also very grateful for, because look at all these young people you tour with.
Yes.
Come here, and to find anybody nowadays to even experience, nobody knows what a nightclub is.
That's true.
Let alone experience one.
That's true.
Because there are no nightclubs. It's been over 30 years.
Yes.
So this is what explains it all to them.
Right.
And the pictures.
Yeah.
And
Actually, 55 years. Because the last nightclub was 1970, which was Forbidden City. And then we are now 2025.
Yeah, okay, 55 years.
55 years.
No wonder nobody knows what a nightclub. Well, you and I know it.
Yeah, they're not old enough. Everybody's younger.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all the
Oh, my
filmmakers
goodness.
are in the 30s.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That's exactly right. So things like this, documentaries like this, really will help. And of course, Arthur Gone started the whole movement,
Yes.
which we're grateful for, all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shari.